Yo everybody, welcome to my channel. This story about what if Naruto inherited a Hiraishin from his father. Let's start guys, subscribe to my channel.
Suru, I leave Konoha to you, said a silver-haired man. Protect those who love the village, as well as those who believe in you. Take care of the people who are entrusted. Raise the next generation of Konoha. Do not forget what me and Hashirama taught you. Be sure to pass on the will of fire from generation to generation. Make Konoha be you, brighter than the hottest flame. From this day on, you will be the Sandaime Hokage of Konoha. Hi, said Suru. The man smiled, rushing off to battle the forces of their enemy nation. He looked back, one more time, as he saw the 6 members of his squad fade into the distance. T. was Senju Tobarama, the Nadaime Hokage of Konoha. He had on a black, long-sleeve shirt and black pants. He had on blue body armor and a fur collar. To his side was a street katana. As the Nadaime Hokage, it was his duty to die for his village and nation. He was the only one who could complete this mission, and keep Konoha safe. The 5 great shinobi nations had all gone to war, and he knew that this would be the battle to end it. His enemies were fierce, as he had to go up against an entire platoon of Kumogic Sato shinobi, including the infamous Gold and Silver brothers, who were notorious for wielding a portion of the Kyuubi no Kitsune's chakra, a demon that could destroy Vil. With a single swipe of its tail, Tobarama knew he was heading towards his death, and he had accepted that long ago, since the death of his brother at the beginning of the Shinobi World War. He made sure to get his kunai ready and strapped his katana to his waist tightly. Pushing forward, he made sure that everything else on his person was secure, knowing that it would be his biggest battle yet. Ellipsis. Just over the border, a group of nearly 500 Kumo shinobi were gathered around. Their leaders, Ginkaku and Kinkaku, had ordered that they were to invade Hino Kuni by daybreak. They had readied their equipment, as they quickly noticed that the sky was brightening. Ginkaku and Kinkaku headed to the front of the army, being the ones to them. Suddenly, they saw a volley of kunai being thrown at them. The Kumo shinobi quickly threw up defenses, with the brothers surrounding themselves with Kyuubi's which was in the shape of a fox. The kunai sailed towards them. The kunai were stopped by Kumo's defenses, however, they were not ready for a second volley. Nearly 20 were thrown across the battlefield, raining down on the Kumo shinobi. The Kumo shinobi, however, were not fazed by the kunai, and dodged them with ease, the kunai next to them harmlessly. Ginkaku and Kinkaku glared into the surrounding forest, expecting an army, however, they were not expecting a single man. Tobarama stepped out the bushes. He glared at the army ahead of him, knowing he had one shot of what he had planned. Kinkaku chuckled. Soon it turned to all-out laughter with his brother joining him. Dumbass. You think you can beat all of us? You're insane. He howled. Ginkaku Taicho, yelled a Kumo shinobi. He came up to his captain, holding one of Tobarama's kunai. I'm not sure what it is, but there is a strange mark on this kunai. The mark in question had 6 lines made up of kanji meeting in the center, with a small circle surrounding the point where all 6 lines met. Ginkaku's eyes widened. Baka. Drop it. All of you retreat. However, his warning came too late, as when he had turned around to see Tobarama, the Nadaime smirked and disappeared in a silver flash. What happened next could only described as a massacre. One by one, every man in Ginkaku and Kinkaku's force was eliminated. In all, the whole thing lasted only about 10 seconds for all 500 shinobi. Oh, everyone was dead. Tobarama stood in the middle of the bloodbath, his sword covered in his enemy's blood. Ginkaku and Kinkaku glared at the Senju, both of them grow second tail onto their chakra cloak. You. Damn you. We'll kill you. Screamed the brothers. Kinkaku rushed forward at blinding speeds, cocking his fist back for a punch. Tobarama teleported away from his gold brother, appearing in front of Ginkaku, swinging his S downward. Ginkaku growled and blocked the sword with his left arm, and stuck out his right arm attempting to impale the Nadaime. Again, Tobarama teleported away. He appeared at the opposite side of the battlefield, breathing heavily. This is going to be a lot harder than I expected. They're good. Along with the chakra of the Kyuubi, it just makes this a lot tougher than I had anticipated, thought Tobira. Tobirama looked up just in time to see Ginkaku grasp his head in his hand. The force of the blow broke the Nadime's Hitai-8, with the forehead protector falling to the ground quick as he could. Tobirama flashed away. He appeared behind Ginkaku with his katana prepared to strike. He threw a kunai at the silver brother, who to Tobirama app to be in slow motion. As the kunai soared past his face, Ginkaku's eyes widened. Tobirama appeared in front of Ginkaku, his sword in a finishing pose. He turned to see Gin's horrified face, and his body from his torso above fell cleanly off his legs as the chakra of the Kyuubi disappeared. Across the field, Ginkaku watched his brother fail to kill Tobirama, and the Senju appeared behind his brother, preparing to kill him. He saw Tobirama disappear and reap front of his brother, and his brother be split in half. Ginkaku! Screamed Ginkaku. He rushed at Tobirama, who was prepared for the gold brother. In a fit of rage, Ginkaku began to grow a third tail which began to tear skin off. The tail whipped Tobirama, who did not expect the chakra to be as strong as it was, sending him flying and burning his left arm, which he used to block the attack. Entirety of Ginkaku's skin had been torn off at this point, and a fourth tail was beginning to grow. Instead of the semi-transparent chakra cloak he had once had, it now fit against his body, a red color due to his blood. Tobirama crawled out of the pile of bodies that he had landed in, only to come face to face with a four-tailed Ginkaku, the heat from the chakra stinging his eyes. Attempting teleport away, he was swatted by the gold brother like a fly. Teleporting mid-air as a result of being too slow, he was thrown all across the battlefield, from where he had teleported to the marker he was thrown from. With one arm nearly immobilized due to the burn it had taken to save the rest of his body, and an extremely vengeful shinobi wielding the chakra of a demon, Tobirama had high doubts about surviving this battle. Looking at Ginkaku, his eyes widened to extreme proportions. Ginkaku had his head facing the sky, blue and red chakra coming together above him to form a condensed ball of purple chakra. Once fully formed, the pseudo-Jinchuriki swallowed the ball, surprising Tobirama. However, that did not last for long as Ginkaku began to inflate like a balloon. Damn, this won't be good if I get hit by this, thought Tobirama. Attempting to see any way he could get out of this, he tried to find any marker that may be out of range attack, due to Ginkaku being at the very end of the battlefield. Noticing a single marker beside Ginkaku, Tobirama knew he would only have one chance to kill Ginkaku. He made a cage bunshin, having it throw a Hiraishin kunai away would have a chance to survive. Gathering his wits and reaching out to the marker, he felt a pull, and the sudden heat of the Kyuubi's chakra. Grabbing the kunai, Tobirama thrust the knife into the side of Ginkaku's skull as the pseudo-Jinchuriki let out his attack, a massive beam of golden red chakra that spread for a mile disintegrating every in its path. Due to his closeness, the entirety of Tobirama's left side was burned extensively, making him bleed profusely. However, Tobirama teleported soon enough that T would only be scarring. Ginkaku dropped to the ground dead, as his entire body lay there, burned after the chakra had dissipated. Tobirama landed next to the kunai, which inadvertently had landed in a river. He couldn't move, and due to that, didn't know where he was landing. The pain was just too much. Even moving a finger made his NT hurt. He soon realized that he would drown. Well, at least cough everyone is safe cough. I just cough hope the will of fire live cough on, he said to himself before everything went black. Ellipsis. Tobirama awoke with a start, bolting up. Taking a look at his surroundings, he noticed that he was sitting on an unknown bed. He seemed to be in a cottage by the look of. Taking a look at himself, he noticed that his armor, collar, and sandals had been removed, leaving him in his black shirt and pants. He looked to his left, seeing that he was bottom floor of the house, if there was even a second. He took a step off of the bed, and quickly tripped over his armor. Well, at least he knew where it was. Taking a kuna, the ouch that had been laid by the armor, he quietly stepped out of the bedroom. He took a look around the house, finding out that it was single-storied, and had quite an floor plan, besides the bedrooms and bathrooms of course. There was a kitchen to his left, and what seemed to be a small reading nook to his right. He stepped out, still see. The front door swung open, startling the Nadaim who threw the kunai at the door frame. An eep came from outside, alerting Tobarama of the person's location, however made him realize that it was most likely a civilian. Retrieving the kunai, he looked outside to see a woman sitting on the ground, most likely falling due to being scared by kunai. She had long, straight, golden blonde hair and blue eyes. She had on a white t-shirt, a black skirt, and a pink apron. Who are you? He asked. She may not be a shinobi, but that did not mean she wasn't the enemy. For all he knew, she could be a spy. Really? That's all I get. Who are you? No. Thank you for helping me, she said, dusting herself off. Tobarama stood there, contemplating her question. Very well, thank you for helping me. However, if you don't mind my asking, where am I? The woman just rubbed her forehead. Well, we're in Hino Kuni, I can tell you that much. I don't know where you came from, but you washed up on shore just over there, said, pointing to a river just in front of her house. Tobarama nodded. It seems after my battle floated down here. How long have I been unconscious? The woman sighed. It's just questions with you, I swear, she said, making Tobarama shift uncomfortably. Anyways, you've been out for about a month. Not bad seeing th. Had some nasty burns, but it's just scarring now. Well, now that we're acquainted, why don't you tell me who you are? She asked him. Didn't I ask you that first? He said, squinting his eyes at her, still on guard. And isn't it rude to ask for a lady's name before you give your own? She said, smirking, and crossing her arms under her bust. Tobarama sighed at being outsmarted by a mere civilian. Very well, I am Senju Tobarama, Nadaim Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, and Konoha no Mizuchi, Konoha's wa dragon, he said. Wow, how long did it take for you to remember that long-ass title, huh? She said, giggling as she passed Tobarama and entered her house. Tobarama, eye twitching, Askidi have introduced myself, now tell me who you are. Fine, pushy are we. Anyways, name's Namikaze Kaya, self-proclaimed prettiest hermit in Hino Kuni, an enemy of the fish of the Naka River, she said, imitating Tobarama. Tobarama turned away, trying to make Kaya avoid seeing his embarrassed blush. Anyways, how far are we from Konoha? Tobarama asked. Konoha. Well, I suppose for a simple civilian like me it would take about 1.5 weeks to get there, but for you, I guess 4 days, she said. I see. Are you aware of the war going on right now? He asked. Kaya snorted. Of course I am. It's not like I'm off the grid or anything. There's a town like 2 miles from here, she said. Very well. I need to get going, he said, moving to get his equipment. Kaya's eyes widened. Whoa. Are you insane? You just got up from being unconscious for a month, and those burns need more time to heal, she said, trying to santo. Tobarama. I can't waste time. My people need me. I may have stopped the Gold and Silver brothers, but there is still the Raikage who is far tougher and my successor isn't ready foe. An opponent, he said. Toby, you said you were the Nadaim Hokage, correct? Asked Kaya. Hi, what of it? Tobarama asked, growling at the Toby nickname. Do you trust your shinobi? She asked, placing her hands on her hips. Tobarama suddenly felt as if he was getting a scolding from his mother. Yes, I do. Then let them handle this. If you have chosen a successor, then they must be exceptionally strong. Add that with a whole village and I'm sure they can hold the Raikage. Enough until you are fully healed from your injuries, however long they may take to heal, said Kaya. You need to realize that you can't do everything by yourself. Tobarama stood there in silence, captivated by what Kaya had said. He knew that he was in no shape to fight, and he knew what she said was the truth. He slowly nodded, accepting her explanation. When will I be able to fight in the war again? He asked. Well, I'm no doctor, but those burns look pretty severe, and still bleed periodically. Hell, you were knocking on death's door when I found you. All in all, at least half a ye able to fight at 3/4 of your power, and 9 months to be back at full strength, but it's just a guess, said Kaya. Tobirama wanted to argue with Kaya, but he knew she was right. He had nearly been killed fighting the brothers, and if it wasn't for her, he would surely be dead. He held hope that Hiraishin would be able to lead the village well in his absence, and be the Hokage he wanted him to be. As weeks turned to months, Tobirama slowly began to gain his strength back. His left arm was still badly damaged, as it took the brunt of the damage during the entire Fig. However, due to most of his left side being damaged due to Kinkaku's final attack, it was hard for him to travel for very long, let alone sprint. Most of the time he spent with Kaya, it was either studying seals, reading in Kaya's nook, which she had quickly started calling Toba's hidey hole, or trying to get to know the mysterious Kaya better. Eventually, she had told him that her parents had died when she was 10 in a house fire, leaving her alone. She had run out into the forest in search of food when she came across the Naka River, and was able to catch and cook fish. After following the river for a few miles, she came across a clearing next to a mountain, the same one she stills. Into this day, Tobirama was impressed, being alone since 10 and being able to survive out in the wild for so long as a civilian. Taking offense to this, Kaya slapped the back Tobirama's head, which now became a ritual whenever Tobirama smart-mouthed Kaya. The behavior between the two contrasted quite a lot, with Kaya being hyperactive, book-smart, while Tobirama was rugged and intelligent all around. Kaya's personality reminded Tobirama so much of his late brother, Hashirama, who died at the beginning war, after fighting for nearly a week straight against the power of Kiri and Iwa. However, the two's personalities would often get them into little scuffles, with Kaya always be smartass, and Tobirama debunking everything she had to say. However, there was a point where their personalities met, and that was the fact that both of them had want, peace, and a strong sense of love. This just made the two even closer as the months went by. Tobirama would always be captivated by Kaya's ocean blue eyes, with Kaya BTHE same with Tobirama's crimson orbs. When either made the other laugh, it would simply brighten their day, and bring the two closer together. Eventually, they could not their attraction for each other any longer, and the love that they had for each other came together in one night filled with passion and desire for the other. It was now the 9th month of Tobirama's stay. He would be able to return to the war, and help Konoha with the faction of Kumo Shinobi and the Raikage. He had heard story about Hiraishin's leadership and bringing down Kumo's numbers by a lot, and couldn't be prouder. However, the Raikage was still causing chaos for Konoha, and their were rapidly dropping. He knew it was his time, and he would have to face the Raikage to save his village. Please, don't go Tobi-kun, pleaded Kaya, tears streaming down her face, one hand on her stomach where there was a sizable bulge, proof of the night they had shared months ago. I'm sorry Kaya-chan, but I must. There is no one else who will be able to stop the Raikage, only I will be able to. Konoha may have held out for this long, but I fear if I do now, Konoha will be crushed soon enough, he said, sorrow filling his voice, not wanting to leave the one who now meant the world to him. But what if you don't come back? I don't know what I would do WMMPH. Kaya started before being silenced by Tobirama, kissing her with all the passion he could give. I promise you Kaya-chan, I will come back to you, and we will raise the baby together. I promise you, I will raise little Minato with you. Minato. How do you know it's a boy? She asked. Tobirama smirked. I just do, he said, giving his typical smart response. Please, go to Konoha, and promise you will wait for me there, he said. Kaya smiled, looked down and nodded. Go, she said. Tobirama smiled once more, and giving her one last kiss, he left. Tobirama looked back at Kaya as a tear threatened to fall from his eye. Forgive me, Kaya-chan. Little did Kaya know, that would be the last time she would ever see her beloved. Ellipsis. Kaya was able to arrive in Konoha after just over 3 weeks of travel. She was able to arrive safely without witnessing any battle thanks to the forest of Konoha and Tobiram, fending off Kumo. When she arrived at the gate, she was forced to go through several steps to ensure she wasn't an enemy, one of them nearly making her lose her cool W. Shinobi asked what she was hiding under her dress, mistaking her pregnancy for a possible weapon. When she was finally cleared, she was asked for her name. Tobarama H. stated that he wanted her to keep her maiden name to keep her safe, and he had done well enough so far, so she listened to him. Namikaze Kaya, she answered to the guard. Ellipsis. After 4.5 months, Kaya was now living in an apartment in Konoha, which overlooked the Hokage monument. Whenever she awoke, she could view her beloved's face until returned. During those 4 months, Kaya had finally given birth to baby Minato. Just like Tobarama said, it was a boy. He had Tobarama's face, but had Kaya's blue eyes. Mina. Hair was spiky and shaggy, just like Tobarama's, but was golden blonde like Kaya's. Kaya had become very hopeful that Tobarama would return soon, however, hope was vague. Fragile, and Kaya's hope was shattered when she heard the news of Tobarama's death after his battle with the Nadaime Raikage, both killing each other with their final blow. Months. She could not stop crying. She knew how bad she was affecting Minato, but she could not stop. Her one true love in the world was dead. However, he had left her one thing to remind her of, her son. Kaya swore to herself that she will make him just like his father, a fearsome shinobi, yet a caring person nonetheless. If he wishes to be Hokage, so be it, but she will help him become the best person he can no matter what. She will make sure he knows everything about his father, and will carry on his legacy. Ellipsis. Eventually, it came the time where Minato would become a shinobi. She had met his sensei, Jiraiya, on a few separate occasions, and though a very strong shinobi, he had faults. Research. Minato would learn his father's jutsu, including the jutsu that would make him famous, the Hiraishin. Minato would master it to a level Tob could only dream of. Minato would soon become close with a red-haired girl he introduced to Kaya as Kushina, and they would start dating soon after. Unfortunately, a few months after Minato advanced to Chunin at 14, Kaya would pass away. If there was one thing that Kaya was happy about, it was meeting Kushina. Honestly, she was just Kaya. She was indeed a strong kunoichi, specifically when it came to fuinjutsu and kenjutsu, and her overall attitude was like Kaya when she first met Tobarama. When her came to an end, the last thought that came to her mind was of the man that had given her so much in this world. And she was happy that she would be able to meet him. Content that his legacy will live on through her son. Ah! Screamed a woman. She had long, silky red hair, and was laid on an altar. Her husband was to her side, placing his hands on her stomach where a seal was loca. The woman was Uzumaki Kushina, and her husband was none other than Namikaze Minato, Yondaime Hokage of Konoha and Konoha no Kiroi Senku, Yellow Flash of Khan. The seal on Kushina's stomach was the only thing that kept the Kyuubi no Kitsune, king of demons and strongest of the Biju, at bay. However, the seal had begun weaken Kushina, and the reason for that was childbirth. Kushina and Minato were expecting a son that they were happy to receive. It'll be okay, Kushina. You're almost there, said Minato, smiling at his wife. For her part, Kushina managed a weak smile. Alright, one more push, ordered Sarutobi Bawako, Kushina's midwife. Kushina pushed hard, letting out a shrill scream, "Aaaaaauuuuhhhh." Luckily, her work was done as Bawako now had a new baby boy in her arms. Kushina shot a tear-filled smile at the baby. Naruto, she just barely whispered. Naruto had ginger hair, which was confusing, but it was spiky, just like his father's. However, one thing they were able to catch a glimpse of was the violet orbs that he had. Eyes. Minato smiled. Just like you, whispered into Kushina's ear, smiling. However, his face soon became a hardened expression. Kushina-chan, I know you just finished Shildibi. But I need to reseal the Kyuubi first. I don't want to risk it escaping, Minato said. Kushina nodded. Minato began to repair Kushina's seal, however, he stopped in the middle of it when he heard Bawako's body drop to the ground. He was horrified by what he saw. Bawako, lying in a pool of her own blood, dead. Standing above her was a man in a hooded cloak and a mask that covered his entire face aside from his right eye. In the right eye Dujutsu of Konoha's Uchiha clan, the Sharingan. He held Naruto in his arms with a kunai held against his throat. Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato, the man began. Step away from the Jinchuriki. If you don't, this child will not make it past 1 minute of life. How did he get past the barrier? Minato wondered. Who is this man? Just then, Kushina cried out in pain as her seal, which had begun to crack again, stretched further open and the Kyuubi began to force its way out. Kushina. Minato thought of turning back to her. The seal is breaking. I said step away from the Jinchuriki. The man ordered, drawing a kunai, holding it to Naruto's neck. Don't you care about your son? Wait. Minato begged, holding out his hands. Please calm down. Speak for yourself, the man said. I'm as calm as can be. The man suddenly hurled Naruto skyward and Kushina screamed. The man leapt at Naruto, attempting to thrust his kunai into the child, but Minato teleported to Naruto and moved to the wall, rescuing him from the man. I must hand it to the Kiroi Senku, the man commended. But how about this? He held up 2 fingers as he landed and several explosive tags on Naruto's blanket lighted, about to explode. Kushina screamed again, but Minato had already reacted. He teleported to one of his safe houses, throwing the blanket off just before leaping out through the front door seconds before the tags exploded, destroying the house. That was close, Minato sighed, then winced and looked down at his leg to see a giant splinter sticking out of it. With Kushina. Kushina was currently trapped in a seal by the masked man. She had seals crawling from all over her body. What do you want? She asked the masked man. The man narrowed his one eye. I am going to take the Kyuubi from you, and with it, I am going to destroy Konoha, he said, activating his Sharingan. Kushina gasped. What? The masked man spoke up again. Minato's Hiraishin allows him to teleport him instantly between locations marked with the correct seals. He marked you with that sealing formula as well in order to protect you. However, I was able to put distance between you. Furthermore, the Kyuubi's seal has been weakened due to you giving birth. Do you know how long I've waited for this? Kushina's eyes widened in fear as she felt the Kyuubi being sucked out of her. Then she saw it, the menacing chakra coming out of her seal, taking the shape of a fox. The fox was in full form in less than a minute and looked at the masked man. He was about to say, but was cut off when he was put under a genjutsu by the man. Sharingan. Kushina fell to the ground after all of the Biju's chakra was sucked out of her. Roar! Roared the Kyuubi. The masked man looked up at the terrifying beast. Good, now it seems only fitting that the beast shall kill its Jinchuriki. I'll be he. Off to Konoha now, said the masked man, chuckling as he shunshined away. The Kyuubi, in its controlled state, slammed its giant palm down onto the rock where Kushina lying down on. There was a giant crash, and when the Kyuubi looked for its ex-Jinchuriki it only saw crumbled rock. It looked in front of it and saw Minato with Kushina in high. Minato looked back at the fox before teleporting away to his safe house. Minato laid his wife down with his sleeping son. Stay with Naruto, said the Hokage. Kushina looked at her son and started to weep. Naruto, she said. Minato clenched and grabbed his Hokage robe. I'll be right back, he said. Ellipsis. The masked man walked into Konoha without being spotted. Wandering into the middle of a deserted street, he made several hand signs and slapped his hand to the grow. Before yelling, Kuchio's no jutsu. As a giant gust of smoke and dust filled the center of the village, sending many people flying, some of them dying due to impacting. Several villagers who were still conscious looked at the giant cloud of smoke. Their eyes widened in fear at what they saw. Roar! Roared the strongest Biju. It began to tear up streets, killing hundreds of villagers at a time. On top of the Hokage monument was Namikaze Mina. Looking at the destruction, it was then he felt a presence behind him and turned around. He saw the masked man. He saw his Sharingan change to something of a 3P shuriken. He swung his kunai at the man, just for it to pass through his head. He swung at the man, but his punch was caught. I am your opponent, sneered the masked Minato felt as if he was being sucked, and before it could escalate he teleported away. Minato landed at the same safe house that was destroyed earlier. Gua. He grunted. He looked up and saw a swirling in the air. He saw the masked man come out of the like jutsu and appear in front of him. The masked man took out a chain from his sleeves and connected it to both wrists. I can't let him go any further, or else he'll cause more destruction than even Kyuubi. Minato thought. The masked man and Minato rushed at each other. Minato had a kunai in hand, and the masked man just reached out barehanded. Minato stuck out his kunai but he went straight through the man's body. As soon as he was out, he was by the man's chains. He teleported several feet away to another kunai. He turned around and the two men rushed at each other again. This time Minato threw his kunai, B. Again it phased straight through the man's head. He put out his palm and a sphere of chakra appeared above it. Just before the man could grab onto Minato, the latter to his kunai and appeared above the masked man. Rasengan! Yelled Minato as he slammed the spiraling chakra sphere into the masked man's back. After the jutsu exploded, he placed a Hiraishin marker on the man's B. The man jumped back from Minato. I let my guard down for a sec. The man was about to say until he was stabbed by Minato's kunai. I see, he must have marked me, he thought, coughing out a bit of blood. Minato placed a seal on the man to stop the Kyuubi from being under his control. The Kyuubi is no longer in your command, said Minato. The man narrowed his eyes. Very well, I will leave, but be warned. One day, I will control this world. Ellipsis. Everybody. Hold it back. Yelled Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage of Konoha. Across from him stood Kyuubi, glaring directly at him. Its fur billowed in the nighttime. Breeze like flames, and its red eyes gleamed like newly shed blood. Kuchio's no jutsu! Exclaimed Sarutobi as a staff twice his size appeared in his hand. He held it out to the monster and with a grunt from the staff, it extended to WH. Stretched all the way across Konohagakure no Sato. It pushed the Kyuubi for nearly another 2 miles before retracted back to its original size. Sarutobi looked to where H. pushed the fox, praying that his predecessor would end the night's horrors. Minato, please, finish this, he thought. Ellipsis. R. Kyuubi exclaimed, as he was pushed away from his target. He noticed the clearing he was pushed into, and saw the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato beneath him. Kyuubi glared at him, and as he saw was about to drop his palm onto the insolent human, he flashed away. Not sure where, he lew behind him, and in the distance saw the man. Kyuubi widened his mouth, gathering blue and red chakra in front of him. When it got to its peak, he swallowed the giant pubball of chakra. His stomach bloated, and before anyone knew, a beam of pure chakra blasted out of the Kyuubi. Minato's eyes widened, unprepared for the attack. He only seconds to seal it away before it hit, and fortunately, he was able to just in time. Teleporting away, appeared at one of his hideouts, staring down at the crying child in his ahe looked at his son, and a few tears came to his eyes knowing what he would have to do. Forgive me, Naruto, whispered Minato, before flashing away to the battlefield once more. When he arrived, he placed Naruto on a stone, away from the commotion. It would take a lot of work to constrain the Kyuubi, but he was sure it would work, considering W. Partner was biting his thumb. He spread his blood across his left hand, and pressing it to the floor yelled, Kuchio's no jutsu. The sky above the Kyuubi was enveloped smoke, and as the fox looked, its eyes widened comically. There was a crash as a toad nearly the size of the fox came crashing down onto the beast. Kyuubi squirmed intense pressure, and Minato began to worry. Kyuubi began to wrap its tails around the toad, attempting to crush it. When the pressure became too much for the toad, it dispelled, once again enveloping Kyuubi in fog, confusing it and Minato. While the fog began to clear, Minato swore he saw gold shining inside of it. When the smoke cleared, eyes widened. Around the Kyuubi were golden chains locking it to the ground. Minato knew those chains and looked to see where they came from. Looking towards Naruto saw Kushina stabilizing herself with a rock, and the adamantine chains coming from her back. Kushina, he exclaimed, before rushing over to his wife, what are you doing here? He questioned her, worried for her. Kushina just chuckled, what? Want to steal all the fun for yourself, she said jokingly before coughing up some blood, making Minato wince. Look, Minato-kun, I know have to do to end this, but it'll take the both of us, you can't just do it by yourself, she said sadly. Minato just sighed, she was right. Alright, but let me prepare, he said, as he began to go through hand seals. Kushina stayed put, using all her might to keep the Kyuubi for long enough to give Minato time. Before long, Minato was finished and a purple, rotten hand stuck out of his stomach making him cough up blood. Behind him, an Entachakra began to form, quickly taking the shape of a demon. It had on a white robe with red beads in its left hand. It had purple skin, and its teeth were jagged and it held in its mouth. Its hair was shaggy and long, and there were two red horns protruding from its scalp. This was the Shinigami. Kyuubi stared at the Shinigami in shock and a little bit of fear, knowing what it could do to him. Kyuubi quickly made his move, and loosening himself as much as he could. For the child, Minato and Kushina dove to stop it, and just before it could reach Naruto, the claw stopped, with Minato and Kushina stabbed through the stomachs just Baruto stop its attack. Minato, is it still possible now? Asked Kushina, looking at the Shinigami quickly fading form, matching her husband's fading life. Yes, as long as we still hurry, I'll seal on in Naruto, and the other in me, said Minato. Kushina's eyes widened, but. Minato just smiled, it'll be okay, if anyone can manage this, it's Naruto, he said with Kanva. That reassured Kushina. Minato glared at the Kyuubi with hate, and with an order to the Shinigami, sealed it away into his son. Hake no Fuin Shiki, complete, gasped out Minato, the words being his last as he dropped to the ground, lifeless. Kushina dropped to the ground, nearly lifeless as well. Best she could right now was stare at her husband's lifeless body as she waited for death. Kushina, she heard in the distance. She felt someone pick her up, and upon looking up, she saw Hiraishin staring down at her. Sarutobi? She asked quietly. Hiraishin's eyes widened. Yes, Kushina. Please, look over Naruto, for me, and Minato, she said. Naruto. Of course I will, he said. Kushina closed her eyes, never to open them again. 1 day later. Sarutobi stood up out of his chair. He looked out of the window, looking at the devastation caused by Kyuubi. He couldn't believe it. His successor and his friend was dead. Arguably the strongest Hokage Konoha had ever seen, had died at the hands, claws, of the nine-tailed fox. It had only been a day after the attack and he was already in his position as Sandaime Hokage of Konoha. Nobody gave him time to grieve. Not for the loss of Minato, not for Kushina, and not even for Buako, the love of his life. Tears rolling down his cheeks. However, he needed to stay strong for his village. Putting on the Hokage hat, he walked over to a crib. Inside the crib was a child, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the destruction his birth had caused. Sarutobi didn't blame the child. In fact, he had probably lost more than Anthy village that night. His father and mother died protecting him, and the boy had to carry the burden of being the Kyuubi's jailer all on his own. Sarutobi carefully picked up Naruto, resting him in his arms with practiced ease. He left the Hokage's office, walking slowly to his destination. Turning a corner, he walked the flight of stairs that greeted him, and led him to where he was headed. At the end of the stairway, there were two hallways, one leading to the outside, and the other to room. He turned right to the room. He was welcomed by two Anbu who saluted him and opened the door for him. Immediately he was welcomed to shouting. The room had two tables parallel to each other that were filled to the brim with shouting villagers. The table on the left was of civilian council, while the right was of the shinobi council. When they noticed Hiraishin enter, they ceased their yelling. Hiraishin walked down the aisle splitting the two table, stopped at the desk that awaited him and sat down at the table. An elderly-looking man with bandages covering the left side of his body spoke up. Hiraishin, why have you called a meeting? He asked. Sarutobi glanced over everyone tiredly. Standing up, they finally noticed the baby laying in his arms. Hokage-sama, who is the child? Asked a tall man. He had long black hair, and white pupil-less eyes. This man was Hyuga Hiyashi, head of the esteemed Hyuga clan. Sarutobi sighed. This boy is Uzumaki Naruto, he said. And like a light switch, the shouting from the civilian council began. Demands like, kill the demon. And, get rid of it before it destroys Konoha again. Rang around the room. Silence. Yelled Hiraishin, releasing killing intent. This boy, not even a day old, has done more for Konoha than you civilians will ever do. From his first hour of birth. Had to carry the burden of being the jailer of the fox that tore through Konoha, and you are telling me to kill him. You should all be ashamed, he growled. If I may, Hiraishin, I would like to take the boy under my wing, said the same bandaged man. I believe I could make him a valuable asset for Konoha. Hiraishin glared at the man. Shut your mouth, Danzo, before I shut it for you. I know how you train your subordinates, and frankly I am quite tired of your shit, he said. Danzo just scoffed and looked away. Another man stood up from the shinobi council. He had on a Junin outfit with a police force crest on his arm and neck-length black hair. Hokage-sama, do you know who the boy's parents are? He asked, though he already had a clue. Hiraishin knew this question would come eventually, and had prepared for it. He knew that if word got out that Minato was Naruto's father, then he would be in trouble. Assassination attempts would probably start tomorrow. So he decided to give Naruto his mother's name, with her being less known and the Uzumaki clan being nearly extinct. Realized he would be much safer. No, unfortunately there are no recollections of his parents other than a card with his name on it reading Uzumaki Naruto, found at the site of the ceiling of the Kyubi. Hiraishin explained. Most of the clan heads looked at each other, already piecing together who the boy's parents were. However, unlike the civilian council, they knew that if word got out that boy would be in danger, thus they would keep it to themselves. Now, if that is all, this meeting is adjourned, Hiraishin stated, before walking out into the Konoha night. The boy ran. He didn't know how long he had been running or how far he had run, but he couldn't stop. He just knew that if he did stop, he would die. He saw buildings fly. He sprinted away from the horde of villagers behind him wielding knives and other lethal weapons. If he was correct, there may have been shinobi in the crowd as well. Miracle they hadn't gotten him already, especially when they could use chakra and he couldn't. Perhaps it was the thrill of the chase that kept them from killing him. As he went by more market stalls, more and more villagers joined the group, some knocking each other over and trampling others in the process. What had he done? He 7-year-old with no parents. He had simply just gone out to enjoy the festival, and soon enough, he had come across a mask stall. He had stolen a fox mask when the owner refused to sell it to a demon like him, but a mask couldn't cause this much anger, could it? As the boy turned a bend, he saw an open road going throughout the residential area with no one in it. He could only thank the festival for that, as most of the villagers of their houses for the night. He could hear the yelling behind him, kill the demon, stop running, or get it. Rang in his ears due to the villagers. What had he done to deserve such treatment? Rounding another bend, he noticed that he had made it back to the red light district. Naruto looked behind him, hearing the screaming. The mob hadn't rounded the bend, and they were on his turf now. Quickly climbing up a pipe on a nearby building, he maneuvered his way through all the garbage that had stacked up over the years. He looked back to see that the mob was directly under him, unable to follow him. However, that only applied to the villagers. He looked to his side to see shinobi climbing wall. So he did the only thing he could do, he ran. He looked ahead of him to see a wire hanging from 2 buildings. He ran for it and jumped. He swung from the wire and landing in an alley. Landing in a pile of trash, he submerged himself in the garbage, hiding from view. He heard the mob stomp towards him, screaming for him to calm and stop hiding. Naruto didn't move a muscle, fearing that if he did, it would alert them to his location. After nearly 5 minutes, he heard the mob crumble and curse about getting the demon. He heard them walk away, and after a couple more minutes, he finally came out from hiding. Looking around, he looked down the alley to see if Anion hiding, and when he was sure, he walked back to the road. As he walked out of the alley, his throat was suddenly grabbed by a villager with ki coming off him in immeasurable amounts, at least to a 7-year-old. Naruto's eyes widened. Fear as he saw more and more villagers come back into the alley, implying that they had been waiting for him the entire time. The villager who held Naruto grabbed his KN, stabbing him in the stomach. Naruto let out a chilling scream, ah! He looked down at the blood gushing out of him and froze. He didn't know what to think. It just kept coming and there was no stopping it. He began to hyperventilate, ONL, causing the villagers more joy. Naruto was thrown to the ground violently. The villagers loomed over him hungrily, knowing that this would be the night they would get him. They all brought their weapons down at once and everything went black. Yuto. Ruto. Naruto. AAH. Screamed the now 12-year-old orange-haired boy, hitting his head against the classroom wall. He looked up to see half his class looking at him with either a raised eyebrow or disdain, which included most of the girls. He looked to the front to see his sensei, Iruka, looking at him with his arms crossed and a frown on his face. However, looked close enough they could see the concern written across his face. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and smiled sheepishly. Sorry Iruka-sensei, I fell asleep, what were you asking? Iruka sighed. I asked, what jutsu was Yondaime-sama famous for using in the Third Shinobi World War? Naruto thought hard on this. He had read up on Yondaime several times, because the man was his idol, and he seemed to realize the jutsu Iruka was talking about. He neoloed Yondaime to teleport instantly, as long as he had markers, and it made him the fastest man alive, earning him the title of Kiroi Senku. However, for the life of him, couldn't remember the name of the jutsu. Sorry Iruka-sensei, I forgot the name of the jutsu, but I know it's that one where it allowed him to teleport instantly, he said sheepishly. Well, at least you know what that jutsu was, Iruka said. The jutsu was called the Hiraishin, or Flying Thunder God, and like Naruto said, it allowed Yondaime-sama to tell instantly. However, the jutsu was not developed by Yondaime-sama, but Nadaime-sama. At this point, Naruto began to doze off again. He just hoped he wasn't met with another one of those dreams. He hated those dreams. Maybe this time he would dream being Hokage, with Sakura-chan hanging onto him for dear life, looking at him how she usually looked at Sasuke. Yeah, that would be nice, Naruto thought. However, that dream would never come as he took a chalk stick to the head and an angry Iruka. Ellipsis. Naruto had finally gotten through the day. And for some reason, today felt much longer than normal. Maybe it was the nightmare he had had early. Just thinking about it chilled down his spine. He hated those dreams. The ones that reminded him of every festival. Quickly readjusting his thoughts onto those of happy ones, he spotted his charge girl that was slightly taller than him, had long, pink hair, and was in a red dress. Hey, Sakura-chan, he yelled across the courtyard, waving his hand at her. Sakura stiffened, and turned around slowly. What do you want, Naruto? She said coldly, although the ginger didn't pick up on this. Do you want to go on a date? He started before being interrupted with a fist to the cheek that sent him flying. Naruto. How many times do I have to tell you that no? I will not go on a date with you. She yelled before stomping off. Naruto got up, rubbing his head. Man, why does have to hit so hard, he thought. Naruto. Wait up, said a voice. Turning around, Naruto saw Iruka jogging towards him. Huh. Oh. Hey Iruka-sensei, do you need something? He asked, smiling at his teacher. Do you remember how graduation is tomorrow? Iruka asked, hoping Naruto had remembered this time. Alas, his hopes were dashed. Oh shit. That's tomorrow. I thought it was in 2 days. AAAH. Naruto screamed, anime tears rolling down his cheeks. Iruka sighed. Of course he had forgotten. Naruto. How do you think you'll do as a shinobi? Iruka asked seriously. Naruto grinned. That's easy, Iruka-sensei. I'm gonna be the best shinobi ever. You know me, he said, pointing at himself. Iruka sighed again. He was doing that a lot today. Naruto, come with me. Huh, okay. They walked for nearly 30 minutes, with Naruto complaining the entire time. When they finally arrived at where they were headed, Naruto was confused to see that it was training ground. However, Iruka didn't stop, so he had no choice but to follow him. When Iruka finally stopped, Naruto saw him standing in front of a strangely shaped stone. Iruka-sensei, what's this? He asked. Iruka looked at him. This Naruto is the memorial stone, honoring the heroes of Konoha, he said. Naruto's eyes brightened. Wow. So cool. I want to be on this. However, Iruka continued, these are no ordinary heroes. These shinobi fought hard for Konoha, losing their lives in the process. That's why their names are here, Tama. We remember the sacrifice they made. Some of my closest friends' names are on this stone. Being a shinobi isn't something to take lightly, Naruto. I need you to remember. Naruto looked down and nodded silently. Iruka smiled and ruffled his hair, knowing the boy would hate it. And as he predicted, Naruto pushed his hand off of his head, puffing up his cheeks. Come on, Naruto. There's something I need to get you, he said, smiling. Get me? Asked Naruto. Iruka nodded. Just come on, he said, waving his hand at him. The entire time Iruka was walking with Naruto, the ginger would ask him continuously where they were going. He needed a break. Naruto continued to ask Iruka where we're headed, Iruka not responding once. Naruto pouted and looked away. Stupid Iruka. However, once he stopped annoying Iruka, Naruto began to think of the life ahead of him. Iruka-sensei's helped me a lot, and it seems like he really wants me to succeed tomorrow. Why else would he show me the memorial stone and wherever we're going next? Maybe it will help me on my journey to becoming Hokage. But I barely know anything about the world. Maybe those lectures weren't useless, Naruto thought. He turned to his sensei. Iruka-sensei? He asked. Iruka sighed. Yes, Naruto. What exactly does it mean to be a shinobi? Asked Naruto. Iruka thought for a few minutes before answering. Well, it means you must always endure, even in the worst situations. You accept any mission you are given, big or small. Protect the village and its people, no matter what. You obey your Hokage's rule, no matter what you think of him. Everything you do is for Konoha and Konoha alone as your loyalty lies. Naruto thought about what Iruka had said for several minutes. He never really understood what a shinobi meant. He always thought it meant cool missions and flashy juts. It went much deeper than he ever imagined. We're here, said Iruka. Huh? Asked Naruto, before looking at the building in front of them. They were in front of a shinobi gear store, and it seemed to be a pretty expensive one as well. Huh? Clothes? Asked Naruto. Iruka nodded. If you want to be serious about your shinobi career, you need to ditch that orange or you're going to be the first one of my students on that memorial stone. Iruka said seriously. Naruto gulped, but nodded. Iruka-sensei, this looks pretty expensive, and I'm not sure if I'll be allowed in here. A lot of stores just throw me out, Naruto said. Iruka looked down at his favorite student and put his hand on his shoulder. Don't worry, Naruto. I personally know the owner of the store, and he is a retired shinobi. She'll accept you with open arms. Alright, Iruka-sensei. Whatever you say, said Naruto, as he and his teacher walked inside. Iruka, it's good to see you again, and it seems you brought a student of yours, I presume? Asked the store owner. Yes, it's good to see you as well, Kenji. This is Naruto, said Iruka, smiling at his friend. What will you be needing today? Clothing, weapons, seals? Asked Kenji. Just clothing for now, said Iruka. He can come back when he needs a restock on weapons. Alright, you can look around, and if you need me just ask, said Kenji politely to Naruto. Naruto just nodded, still confused as to how he hadn't been thrown out by now. Deciding to look around, he eventually found clothing that caught his eye. There was a black long-sleeved shirt with a high collar that went all the way around, and it woolto about his chin. It was mostly plain aside from the red swirl that most chunin and junin vests had on the back, but he found it nice. Quickly picking it up, he looked arrow. For bottoms that might go well. He again found something that interested him. They were dark orange cargo shirts that matched his hair perfectly. It had two large pockets the side that could store scrolls or other amenities, spray paint cans or stink bombs, with ease. They went past Naruto's knees, and they reminded him of his old green on. He still sometimes wore, especially in the summer. He grabbed them and stacked them with the shirt. Turning his head, he found gray ninja sandals and gray gloves that metal plating on the back. Wanting to cover his legs, he thought that black leggings would fit, but quickly changed them out for kusari pants as he realized it would be more battle-ready than leggings. Walking up to the counter, he dropped the clothes in front of Kenji waiting for the price. Kenji quickly tallied the prices and gave Naruto the full cost. Alright, that will be 2,000 Ryu. I am making 10 Ryu $1 American. Naruto frowned at the price. Are you sure? He asked. Yes, why? Asked Kenji. Naruto stared at his jumpsuit. Well, when I bought my jumpsuit, it cost 3,000 Ryu, and that seems to be a lot more sturdy than this. Iruka's and Kenji's eyes widened. Iruka clenched his fists in anger. They were making him pay 3,000 Ryu for one of those orange monstrosities. Oh, he was going to have with Sandame-sama when everything was done and over with. Kenji looked at Naruto and smiled. Well, don't worry, I'm not overpricing you like those other pieces of garbage, so if you want to get a few more over time, it won't drain money. But I promise, it is only 2,000 Ryu. Naruto quickly thanked and paid for the clothes and told Kenji he'd only shop at his store from now on. When walking back from the store, Naruto couldn't help but think why Iruka-sensei had helped him so much. Sure, he was pretty sure he was his favorite student, but why? Much. Hey, Iruka-sensei. He asked. Yeah, Naruto. The Chunin answered. Why did you help me so much today? Naruto asked. Iruka smiled. Naruto, you're a lot like me, you know. When I was your age, I had no parents to care for me, and like you, I would often pull pranks to get people's attention. Was foolish back then, and I just don't want the same thing that happened to me, happen to you, he answered truthfully. Naruto looked at Iruka quizzically. What happened to you, Iruka-sensei? He asked. Iruka looked down. A few months after I graduated from the academy, my sensei had finally asked for our first C-rank mission. I was ecstatic. I was still a brat back then. Wanted all the attention. I thought that we would be escorting a princess or a daimyo, but it turned out we were just capturing some bandits. I still thought that I was would dispatch them with ease. When we finally arrived, I was impatient. I rushed into the bandit camp without a second thought, thinking I was far stronger than them. However, soon enough I became overwhelmed. What I did was foolish, and I'll remember that day for the rest of my life, Iruka said, tensing up. What happened next, sensei? Asked Naruto. Due to my foolishness, both my teammates were killed, and my sensei was crippled and can no longer serve as shinobi, Iruka said solemnly. Naruto looked downcast. He now felt sorry for having Iruka bring that up again. Sorry, Iruka-sensei, he said. Iruka placed his hand on his shoulder. It's alright, Naruto. I'm the one who decided to speak about this to help you. I just want you to understand that being overeager or impatient can lead to detrimental endings. Naruto nodded. Ellipsis. As it came to the point where Naruto and Iruka had to split off, Iruka had one more thing to ask his student. So, are you finally going to ditch that orange monstrosity? Asked, half joking, half pleading. Naruto pouted. It's not that bad, Iruka-sensei. But I think that I'll stick with it until I graduate. It's been with me so long, that it might as well see me graduate, he said. Iruka chuckled. Well, as long as you get rid of that and start wearing those clothes I gave you, we're even, he said. Even? Asked Naruto. Yep. Since you're becoming a real shinobi after tomorrow, that means no more pranks, said Iruka, shunning away before Naruto could react. Naruto stood there stunned. No more pranks. He swore he could hear a demon laughing far away, but put it away to think about later, as a much more serious trouble at hand. No. Ellipsis. Naruto walked into the classroom the next day, chest held high. Sitting in his usual seat next to the tem, he laid his head down to fall asleep. As per usual routine, Sakura and Yamanaka Ino came running through the door, panting. I got here first, forehead, screamed Ino. What? No way. My hand pushed the door open, which counts as me being first, countered the pink banshee. Naruto heard a groan beside him but ignored it. He put on a big smile and waved at his crush. Hey Sakura-chan, he said. Sakura looked at Naruto and her face fell. Getting up, she made her way up to him and pushed him out of the way. Move it, Naruto, I'm sitting next to Sasuke-kun. She saw. Naruto scrunched up his face, but sat down anyway. After another few minutes, Iruka walked in, clipboard in hand. Alright, started the teacher. Today you have the graduation exams, which will make you perform the Henge no Jutsu, Kawarimi no Jutsu, and Bunshin no Jutsu, he said. Naruto grabbed his head. Aw man. Not the Bunshin. That's my worst jutsu, he screamed in his mind. Naruto nervously waited for his turn as one by one, each of his classmates went inside the examination room, and all of them came out with a Konoha Hitai 8. Once him, Sasuke, and Ino left, he watched nervously as his rival was called into the room. After around 2 minutes, he saw Sasuke come out with a headband wrapped around head, and a triumphant smirk written across his face aimed at him. Naruto growled at the Uchiha, but didn't move. Iruka came out of the room and looked at his clipboard. Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, called Iruka. Naruto got up nervously. He walked slowly to the testing room where his fate would be decided. When he arrived, he saw Iruka and Mizuki sitting in front of a desk, which Hitai Atesh varying in colors, some red, some brown, some black, however the majority were blue. Naruto stared at the headbands, wondering if today would be the day he finally earn his. He had to, for Iruka-sensei. He had helped him immensely in the past couple of days and this was the best way to repay him. He would show him how good shinobi he would become, and then he would buy him ramen. Alright Naruto, please perform the following jutsu, Kawarimi no Jutsu, Henge no Jutsu, and Bunshin no Jutsu. To pass you must perform all three acceptably, said Iruka. Sent a glare to Naruto, and no Oroku no Jutsu. Naruto chuckled. Sure Iruka-sensei, he said, rubbing the back of his head, damn not the Bunshin no Jutsu. That's my worst one, he screamed internally. Forming the hand signs for Kawarimi, he disappeared in a cloud of smoke, Mizuki doing the same. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was sitting next to Iruka smiling at him. Smiled back. Good Naruto. Next perform Henge no Jutsu, said Iruka. Naruto nodded. Forming the correct hand signs, he was enveloped in smoke and when it cleared he had transformed into his idol, the Yondaime Hokage. Iruka smiled again. Good Naruto. One more jutsu and you'll have graduated. Naruto smiled back before swapping places with Mizuki again, the Chunin muttering something about devil's luck. Great. Now just perform the Bunshin and you will have graduated Naruto, said Iruka happily. Naruto nodded hesitantly and performed the hand signs for the jutsu. His face scrunched up as he focused on performing the Bunshin. A puff of smoke appeared next to H. When it cleared it revealed a dead-looking clone. Naruto flinched at it, knowing what it meant. He looked at Iruka and saw the disappointed and sad look on his face. I'm sorry Naruto. You fail, he said sadly. But Iruka-sensei, I did the other two well. I know I can be a great shinobi if you just let me try to bayo. Pleaded Naruto. Naruto, you failed, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do, said Iruka, avoiding eye contact with Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened, and he began to tear up. He ran out of the room. Why? Why me? Why do I always fail at things like this? Naruto thought. Walking out of the academy, he saw everyone and their parents celebrating their graduation. Those who didn't were being backed up by their parents that they would do it. Year. He didn't have any of that. He slowly walked across the yard, ignoring the stares of the children and parents alike. Making it to a swing, he sat down, sulking at his FA. For the next few minutes, he just watched as parents and children laughed with each other, enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, he heard a rustling next to him. Up. He saw Mizuki in the tree smiling down at him. Huh. Mizuki-sensei. What are you doing? He asked. Hey Naruto. There's something I need to tell you. You see, there is a special examination for promising shinobi. Only one of all the students that failed is chosen to take it. You were chosen, Mizuki said smiling. Naruto's eyes widened. Really? What do I have to do? Please. Tell me. Mizuki chuckled. Very well. You need to steal the scroll of sealing from the Hokage Tower and learn one jutsu before midnight. If you don't, you will need to retake the Yae. Wait to become a genin. Naruto saluted his teacher and ran off. Ellipsis. Naruto sat in the middle of a clearing with the large scroll in his hand. What should I learn? Naruto said to himself, going through the scroll. What? Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Why is there a clone technique here? Meh. Might as well try it. For the next hour, Naruto practiced the jutsu trying to get it right. And then, poof, a giant smoke cloud filled the clearing. Naruto looked around to see nearly 100 of him. His eyes widened. No way. No way. I did it. Haha. That was so easy. Naruto said. Weren't these supposed to be hard? What else is there? Edo 10. Iki Fujin, Hiraishin. Naruto Asuka's clones disappeared. What's that? Naruto looked at the explanation for the jutsu. Grants user instant teleportation to designated markers. Wait, this is Yondaimi's jutsu. He said, chuckling. Looking up, he frowned. Man, I don't think there's an how to learn this. It looks hard. If I can write everything down, maybe I can try and do it later. Yeah, he thought. Naruto looked at the immense amount of writing and sighed. Might as well get started. 3 hours later, Iruka ran into the clearing panting. Seeing Naruto up ahead, he stomped towards his student. Naruto. What the hell were you thinking? Naruto jumped at his name before turning to see Iruka. About time, sensei. Looks like I found you. Baka. I found you. Iruka yelled. Naruto scratched the back of his head laughing, panting as he did so. Well, I guess you did get me. I only had time to learn technique. Iruka sighed. You look tired. What were you doing? Naruto beamed. What till I show you? The ninjutsu I learned is amazing. Naruto. You came here to practice, and work yourself to the bone, thought Iruka. Naruto, why did you steal the forbidden scroll? He asked. Huh. Oh yeah. Mizuki-sensei told me about it. And this place. He said that if I learned a jutsu from the scroll and showed it to you, I'd become a shinobi. What? Mizuki. Thought Iruka. His eyes widened as he pushed Naruto out of the way. Look out. He screamed before being pelted with several kunai. Naruto's eyes widened. Fear. Iruka-sensei. Cried out the ginger. Naruto looked to where the kunai came from and his eyes widened further. Mizuki-sensei. Mizuki glared down at Naruto. The scroll, Naruto. Hand it over. What the hell is going on? Screamed Naruto. Naruto. Yelled Iruka. Don't let Mizuki get it. Protect the scroll with your life. Iruka said, ripping the kunai out of himself. Naruto looked at Iruka and the kunai he pulled out. Noticing a purple liquid on the tip, he swallowed. Iruka-sensei, the kunai. They were poi. I know. That does not matter right now. Protect the scroll. It's more dangerous than you can ever imagine. It holds the record for Kinjutsu. Mizuki used you. He wants scroll for himself. Mizuki lied. What? Yelled Naruto. I lied. Haha. Naruto. I'll tell you who really lied. Mizuki taunted. Iruka's eyes widened. No, Mizuki. They've been lying to you your whole life, Naruto. Ever since 12 years ago, since the Kyuubi no Yoko attacked. Since then, the villagers have been bound by the strictest decree, Mizuki said. Decree? What decree? I don't remember any decree. Naruto mumbled. His heartbeat was getting faster by the second. Well, of course you wouldn't. Part of that decree was that everyone would know about it, except for the younger generation, of course. But especially you. What? Why me? What are you talking about? Ha. The decree was that no one must ever tell you that what you really are is the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Quote. What? Naruto questioned. What are you talking about? Stop it! Cried Iruka. You destroyed the village, Naruto. Until, at last, our beloved Yondaime Hokage sealed you in this form. Mizuki taunted. Stop! Screamed Iruka. And since then, everyone's hated you and been taught to hate you. Didn't you think it was strange? How everywhere you went you despised? Laughed Mizuki. He were honest. Iruka would admit he hates you too. Said the teacher, taking a giant shuriken off his back and making Naruto freeze. Iruka-sensei hates me. He thought. He began to cry. Maybe no one loved him. He hunched to the ground in a turtle position. Naruto, cried Iruka in his mind, you never knew a parent's love. Since the day you were born you've been shunned by our entire village. No one will ever accept you. Screamed Mizuki, throwing the shuriken at Naruto. The only thing you wanted was attention, not even love. And the only way you could get that was by pulling those pranks. And you didn't care. You were willing to accept punishment or criticism, any condemnation, as long as it meant someone was paying attention to you, thought Iruka. It was a brilliant performance, Naruto, but it was all sham, to hide your loneliness and pain. Thhhhuukkkkk. Naruto looked up to see Iruka covering him protectively, the shuriken in his back. His eyes began to fill with tears. Why, Iruka-sensei? He asked. Because Naruto, you're just like me. I lost my parents when I was young, I was so lonely. So, I became the class clown, just to get attention. I just wanted someone to s. I didn't want to be a nobody. Because being a nobody hurt so much, he said, crying, I know what it's like, Naruto, and that's why I'm so hard on you. Iruka slowly got up and ripped the shuriken out of his back. Naruto, go. Run. Naruto took off, leaving Iruka and Mizuki alone. Mizuki chuckled. Did you see the look in his eyes? Those were the eyes of a demon. Iruka growled. You don't know Naruto at all. Mizuki narrowed his eyes. I don't need to know him to kill him, he said before shunshing away. Iruka took off. You can try. Iruka ran through the forest as fast as possible to catch up to Naruto. Looking ahead, he found the orange hair he was looking for. Naruto. He cried out. Quickly. Give me the scroll. It's what Mizuki is after. Oof. Cried Iruka, as Naruto barged into him as he was thrown to the ground. Why you? How did you know I wasn't Iruka? Mizuki said as he dispelled his henge. Naruto laughed before dispelling his own. Because I am, said Iruka, sitting against a tree. Mizuki began to laugh. Ha ha ha. So noble. Saving your parents' murderer. And for what? What happens if we let him live? Iruka chuckled as he spit blood out of his mouth. Then the scroll will be safe from a complete traitor. You're a fool, Iruka. Naruto and I are two of a kind, said Mizuki. Two of a kind? Asked Iruka. Naruto, who was hiding behind a tree, listened to their conversation carefully. Just like Naruto, I can use that scroll to achieve limitless power. Mizuki exclaimed. The demon within him wants that strength. Iruka, we were right to hate him. Naruto's eyes widened. It's true then. Iruka-sensei really does hate me. Maybe I do hate Kyuubi. But not Naruto. Never, said Iruka. For him, I have nothing but respect. He's an excellent student. He works hard. Sure, he makes mistakes, and some people hate him, and it's given him empathy. He knows what it is to be in pain. No demon would ever feel pain like that. He is a citizen of Konohagakure. Sato. Uzumaki Naruto. Screamed Iruka, blood all over his face and vest. Mizuki growled. Whatever. You know, Iruka, I plan to save you for last, but I might as well kill you here and now. Say goodbye. He screamed, rushing at Iruka with shuriken spinning. Iruka smiled sadly. This is it, huh? He coughed out more blood, the poison taking effect. Bam. Mizuki flew back, Naruto in front of him, having kneed him in the face. Naruto! Exclaimed Iruka. Mizuki's eyes widened. What the? Naruto glared at Mizuki, the rage of a demon in his eyes. Stay away from Iruka-sensei, or I'll kill you. He commanded. Damn it, Naruto. You should have gotten out of here. Thought Iruka. You think you can kill me? I can kill you with a single blow. Mizuki screamed. Bring it. Tem. Anything you throw at me I'll give back 1,000-fold. Naruto exclaimed. Bring it on, Foxy. Kage Bunshin no Justu. Yelled Naruto, as a giant cloud of smoke engulfed the forest. When it cleared, 1,000 Narutos had joined them. What the? How did you? Screamed Mizuki. What's the matter, tough guy? Come and get me. Well, then, guess I'll make the first move, said the Narutos. Aaaauuuuhhh. Screamed Mizuki. When Naruto was finished, Mizuki was a bloody mess. Hee. Got carried away. Sorry, sensei. He said, rubbing the back of his neck. However, his smile dropped as he saw Iruka having difficulty breathing. Iruka-sensei, are you gonna be okay? He asked shakily. Iruka smiled sadly at Naruto. Sorry, Naruto, but it looks like our journey ends here, he said. Naruto's eyes began to fill with tears, and they began to pour out. I'm sorry, Iruka-sensei. IW was stupid. If IH hadn't stolen the D-damn scroll, and none of this would have happened, he said, crying. Iruka chuckled. It's gonna be cough okay, Naruto. He reached around his head and untied his Hiraishin. Here, Naruto, you deserve it. Naruto took the bloodied-up Hiraishin and flinched at it. Iruka-sensei, I'm so sorry. He wailed. Iruka now had tears coming down his face. I know, Naruto, it's okay. There's something else I want you to have. In my apartment cough is my father's Chikudo. I want yo. Have it. And Naruto cough, you were always my favorite, he said, knowing it would be the last words he would ever speak. Naruto looked at his teacher and shook him. Iruka-sensei. Iruka-sensei. Wake up. Please wake up, he cried. Taking his hands off him, he saw the blood-stained on skin, and he began to cry harder and shake. He stayed like that until Sandame and 2 Anbu showed up to take Mizuki away. Sarutobi approached Naruto slowly. Naruto-kun. Are you all right? He asked, already knowing the answer. It's my fault, he cried, looking Sarutobi in the eyes. If I didn't. But Hiraishin wrapped Naruto in a hug before he could say anything else. It's not your fault, Naruto. Mizuki took advantage of you at your weakest, he said gently. Naruto cried into the elderly Hokage as the Sandame took him away. Hokage's office. What's gonna happen next? Asked Naruto. Well, first off, we are going to give Iruka a proper burial. Then we need to rearrange the teams to find one to put you on, said the Sandame tiredly. Naruto nodded slowly and got up. Night Gigi, he said solemnly as he left the tower. Tomorrow. The funeral for Iruka went by slowly. His entire class had shown up to mourn the death of their sensei. But if anything, life for Naruto worsened. The adults demanded for Hokage to strip Naruto of his shinobi rank and to ban him from re-entering the academy, due to him stealing the scroll and causing Iruka's death. Sarutobi of course ignored requests. Naruto was the first to show up at the funeral, and the first to lay a flower on Iruka's grave. When the funeral had concluded, only a few people stayed behind. Hinata, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Sarutobi stayed back, paying their respects. Sarutobi kept glancing at Naruto, worrying about his surrogate grandson. Sasuke walked past Naruto, but before he got too far he looked back at Naruto. Sorry, he said before he walked off. Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba did the same. Sarutobi. Hinata walked up to Naruto a few minutes later. Sarutobi gave Naruto a small hug before he left. Hinata walked up to Naruto. I'm sorry about Iruka, said Hinata. Why you and HMW were close. Naruto turned to her and gave a soft smile. Yeah, we were, he said, looking at his grave. Hey, Hinata. At this Hinata looked back at Naruto. Usually Iruka and I go out for some ramen. I was wondering if you wanted to join me instead. He asked, smiling softly. Hinata's eyes widened and she blushed, but she quickly fought it down, realizing it wouldn't be appropriate. Sure, Naruto-kun. She knew this was no date, but she knew Naruto needed someone right now, and that someone happened to be her. Naruto smiled and began to walk towards Ichiraku's, reminiscing on Iruka and everything he had to help him in the past.